Good evening, folks. Welcome to our midweek show. We're podcasting again, two guys in the mic. I'm one of your hosts, Ron Pierce. RP is what they like to call me.
And I'm your other host, Big Sean. How's everybody doing this evening?
Yeah, man. How's everybody doing? Sean, how are you doing? How's your day been?
My day was cool, man. I kind of just relaxed today and kind of took it easy. Been a little tired, man. I have a lot of stuff going on, so I just
Yeah,
wanted
what's
to
an
take it
off
easy.
day look like for you, man? Well, when you off, but you still trying to fulfill other things, business wise. I ain't gonna put your whole business out there, but
Right. No, today I kind of really literally didn't do anything, man. I did some laundry and I played a little PlayStation today.
okay. So it was an
I,
off day.
I, I literally took it. Yeah, I try to do that, man. I think people need to do that more. Somehow society is convinced us that we have to be doing something all day, every
At all
day.
times. Yep.
Doing something is something wrong, and I don't think we
Yep.
rest enough. It's where
Yep.
everybody's so stressed out full of anxiety. Sometimes you got to take a day, or your body's going to do it for you. Like if you
Yeah.
keep on 100 miles an hour, eventually your body's they're going to make you take a day.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I agree with that 1,000%. So yeah, I do like to work hard, but I also like to relax and chill hard, or play hard, however you want to look at that aspect.
exactly.
So again, welcome to this midweek show. You know, sometimes me and Sean have to catch up. I know you guys probably think we talk all the time, but since we talk so much, when we do get together, we probably don't talk that much outside.
Right,
So
right.
we just wanted to catch up a little bit, but glad you guys are with us. For those of you who are, today we're going to start out talking about the Major League Baseball playoffs, which are going on right now. They're in the divisional round of the playoffs. I was actually sitting here watching the Yankees and the Rays. I actually called the Rays the Devil Rays. I don't think they've been called the Devil Rays in about 10 years, probably. But and it looks like it's going to be a pretty solid game. It's tied 1-1 in terms of the series, but right now the Rays are up 1-0 in the middle of the third. I watched pretty much the whole first and second innings. It seems like it's a pretty evenly matched game. But the thing that I really wanted to touch on, because again the Indians aren't in it, so I'm a little bit detached, honestly. But as I was watching this game, it kind of struck me that these guys were playing a baseball game that wasn't in New York, that also wasn't in Tampa Bay. So it led me to have this thought, this question, like, man, how does that affect? It's just like the bubble. So I mean, I guess it's the baseball's version of the bubble, correct?
Right.
So the thing was that the problem that I had was, how does this affect the baseball players when it boils down? When you're at home, you know you got that short porch out to the right, or you know you got that big wall out in left field. So there are things, there's nuances, crevices, and cracks in your building that you get used to. That now you got to get used to a whole different setup. I would almost feel like it's like spring training as opposed to the playoffs. I mean, am I like just going off on a tangent? Am I tripping, or do you see it?
No, that's the unique thing about baseball. It's the only sport, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's the only major sport. Let me put that caveat out there that all the arenas are different. And
Right.
basketball and football and hockey, all the dimensions of every arena that you're playing are the same. Baseball is different. You have some parts that are bigger than others and some that are smaller than others, and that makes different shapes of the outfield. The way the home run wall is constructed. I remember Houston. Remember in Minute Maid Park, how they had the flagpole like right in the middle of center field with a hill on it. On
Yeah.
top of kind of like a mini
Yeah.
hill. So you had to play in center field. You had to be aware of that flag sitting out there. It seems like you could construct your baseball stadium any way that you want to. So your outfielders have to learn how the ball may bounce off of the wall, especially like in Boston with Fenway Park and the
Right.
Green Monster. You got to
Correct.
learn how to play the caroms off of the wall. So, and I never thought about that until you just mentioned it, by these guys not being in their home ballparks. How do they adjust to playing in a foreign field like that? So that definitely comes as an adjustment.
I mean, I think that now I think I said earlier that it might make it like a spring training game. Let me correct that because I guess that really wasn't accurate. What's probably more accurate is I think it actually adds um, a little more stress, a little more mental preparation, even because, like you say, the dimensions in every uh, field in every ballpark are completely different. Like there's some places that have a warning track. There's some places that end right at the wall. There's some places that have a lot of play and fair and foul ground. It's a lot of places that don't. You know, it's like
Right.
you running up that first baseline and thinking, "Oh, I'm just about to catch this over my shoulder," and you running over the tarp because that tarp ain't there in your park. You know what I mean? So it's a difference that you have to play with at all times, and you got to deal with it anyway when you're
Right.
in playoffs because you play in
And
these different
two,
parts. But
and also too, I guess the way for baseball to kind of make it fair, they put the American League bubble in National League ballparks and vice versa, and put the National
yeah,
League bubble in American League ballparks. That's where you don't have so uh, both all four teams are unfamiliar with those
yeah,
ballparks. They probably didn't play in them all season.
yeah.
So
I mean, it's almost like it legitimately puts everybody on an even ground. No
right,
matter how good your team is, you're kind of still all on even ground, and anything can happen. So I agree with what you're saying there because like what advantage do you have? Like if you're a left-handed hitter, man, you love having that short porch in Yankee Stadium. You know what I mean? Or in Boston.
right,
Like like you love that because all I got to do is kind of pull, turn, boom, that's 315, 320 feet, home run. Whereas some of these parks, like I remember when they made Safeco. No, I'm sorry, not Safeco. Yeah, Safeco out in Seattle. They were like, man, you almost can't hit a home run at that center.
right,
You
exactly,
know what I mean? Because it was just so far away. But we
right,
have places like the Indians have a not a monster, but we have a home run porch out in left field that in a lot of parks you can hit that thing halfway up that, and that's a home run. That we
right,
just steal that joint away from you, because it hit the wall. So
exactly.
it's crazy the things that baseball allows or that baseball, and it kind of goes back to that same stuff that we were talking about in our other conversations about baseball. It's just one of those sports that they've accepted certain uh, things that are okay. In football or basketball, if you had a like you say a pole right in front of the basket, like you couldn't shoot a 3-pointer on this side because that pole sat
Right.
like this. Oh man, that would never ride. But
Tell
in
them why.
baseball, it's all good. Don't nobody care that you got to run uphill to catch this ball in dead center.
Right.
Don't
If
nobody
you
care
if
you
you
about to run
remember
into that
too,
brick wall through
if, if,
the
if you
ivy,
remember
by the way.
too, when Comerica Park was first built in Detroit, it was a cavern out there in the outfield, and it still is. They
Yeah,
moved the
it's
fences
cavern.
in, and it's still hard to hit a home run
Yeah,
um, in that stadium.
they were trying to
You
make
know,
it like Old Tiger Stadium, like where it was real big and spacious and stuff like that. And it and it actually for this live ball era where you can go in and just mash and mash and mash home runs, you can't really mash. Listen,
right?
I would like to see the person that hits. I know people have hit home runs out of Old Tiger Stadium. I like to see the son of a bitch do it in Comerica. I like
Right.
to be
And
there
look
when
at
that.
Wrigley Field, man. Wrigley Field literally has a brick wall for its fence.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
you have as a ball player, like most stadiums have a cushion. It's padded.
No, they
Not
do
Wrigley
got a
Field.
cushion.
Like, it's padded with ivy.
If you hopefully if you're not running too fast, you can run into the ivy and not be concussed.
Right.
You know, but I mean, baseball is just its own. It's its own thing.
It's its own thing.
But the playoffs seem to be everything seems to be going pretty well. It seems like it's pretty exciting. A few games that I've watched, I've been a little bit pissed off. I'll be honest, since the Indians have been out. I've been kind of on like a little strike from baseball. But you know, it's all good. I think if I had to pick a team that's going to I always want to pick the Dodgers. I just don't trust them.
No, they always seem to choke.
They
When's the
always
last time the Dodgers won a World Series? Did they win one?
No, they haven't. I don't believe. I think they did actually.
Oh, let me
I'd
see.
have to look it up. Hold up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and contact my crack staff here.
Yeah, go ahead and see what the show contributors might have for that one. Because I feel like Kershaw finally broke through at some point.
I thought they
but I don't think he was in.
No, they haven't, man. The last one
I was gonna say I don't think he was
over.
in. Kershaw wasn't in. Listen, man. I don't believe the Dodgers have won since we were 12 years old, bro.
And you're right. Well, 14.
Well, 14 years old, rather. I'm sorry.
88. That was the infamous Kirk Gibson.
Yeah, the Kirk Gibson
walk-off home run when he was on one leg.
Fluke home run off Dennis Eckersley.
Right. Yes, so I think the Dodgers have been to the World Series a couple of times.
They have. That year that they had Puig and
won it.
Kershaw and those guys, they were the favorites, but Kershaw choked. You know, when you got the Cy Young Award winner, you expect that dude to just show up. I mean, I can't say that no other Cy Young Award winner has ever not won or not pitched well in the postseason. But your expectation is that this guy will figure it out once or twice. You don't expect
the Indian Cy Young Award winners never pitched well in the postseason
at all.
Kluber, didn't CC win Cy Young?
Yep, he pitched okay, but he didn't pitch good in the game.
He wasn't lights out.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Same thing with Cliff Lee. I don't remember if the Cliff Lee team made the playoffs that year.
However, Cliff Lee went to the Phillies and pitched like a witch.
Of course he did.
Season.
Of course he did. Same thing with CC. When he left here, he was untouchable in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Even that 1 year he spent in Milwaukee, he was lights out.
Oh yeah, that year that was great. That he was pitching.
He single-handedly by himself.
Yeah.
I won't say by himself, but
it was damn near.
Yeah, he helped prepare that team into the playoffs.
I mean,
I think they lost in the first or second round, man, but he was
the stuff that he gave in their postseason, like from the defensive standpoint, it made what everybody was doing defensively easier. Because you wasn't hitting it. You wasn't getting a piece of nothing. And if you were getting a piece, you were getting a piece. They weren't. I mean, this dude's stuff was electric. You know?
Right.
But he was pitching for a contract. So
yeah.
So that made sense. He was trying to get that $200 million, which I can't knock the hustle, player. Hit that money.
Never knocked the hustle. Then he got a ring. How many rings did he get in New York? He just got
2, I think.
2? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, by the time he came, the Yankees, while they were still good, by the time he came, you know, they were
aging at that time.
Yeah, they weren't going to the expectation was that they would be there, but they didn't go to the championship, to the World Series every single year.
Right.
That whole thing got kind of mashed out when in 2001, I think the Marlins beat them or something like that.
Yeah, they sure did. Isn't that crazy though? How the Marlins are one of the worst run organizations in baseball, and they always manage to pop up like every. How many championships do they have?
They got 2 rings. They got 2 rings.
They got 2 rings. It's one of the worst.
One of them was versus us. Of course, we all know that. Or
Right.
us Clevelanders know that. And they shouldn't have won that year, but they bought a team that year. They had,
Well,
that damn
they bought the team the second time too.
they damn sure
Don't
did.
give me the line who was on that team.
No, they definitely.
I know they had some big names on
Look,
that team.
whoever was on that team, they all ended up in Boston, New York, and Texas.
Yeah, exactly. The very next year.
Right.
The very next year. As soon as they won that championship, they dismantled the team.
That's all they look. I don't, and then the Miami fans act like they're the greatest fans on the planet. I don't want to hear it. Anyway,
And you would think in that area, like with the Latino population, that it'd be a bigger baseball hotbed. But the Marlins and the city of Miami, for whatever reason, they don't really have a good relationship, especially how they kind of trick the fans into subsidizing that stadium with tax dollars.
Yeah, see, I was going to say that was the first problem. They kind of, and trust me, this is not the first time that something like that has happened where you gotten a land deal that you didn't live up to all of the specifications around it, because all you actually want is the land. Once you get the land, now you actually have to go to court once all of the contracts are signed. Who the hell wants to go through all that red tape? Nobody really. So it's just going to be a bunch of angry people. They say the same thing happened with the Met Stadium out in Queens.
Okay.
That, a block and a half away from it, it's nothing. It's a desolate area. So
okay,
these things have happened, and this isn't the first case of it. Not that makes it okay, but apparently it's become normalized that that's what ends up happening. Now, we've been fortunate here in Cleveland to have stadiums that actually kind of gave back to the local area, because we remember what downtown looked like before Gateway came. And trust me,
man. Right.
it was not the place to be hanging out late at night talking about, oh, I'm going to the Indians game. Okay, good luck.
Right.
Cleveland wasn't the place that you wanted to be hanging out on. Like, I played 2K, and when you go to the Cleveland Stadium, when you play at the Q, or as I call it, the Gun, they always talk about the popular hangout on East 4th. I'm like, man, do these cats know what East 4th used to be?
Man, I used to be the seedy side of downtown
The
between East 4th and Prospect.
CD.
Yes, sir.
So,
Super
all right,
seedy.
bro.
That was whole stroll back in the day.
Yeah, you listen. You might go in on East 4th on Euclid. You might not come out on Prospect. You might not make it out of there.
Right.
It just wasn't set up that way. But okay, let's move a little bit forward into our next topic, the NBA Finals. So Game 4 was last night. During our last show on Sunday, they were in the middle of Game 3.
Yeah.
And I was actually questioning whether this team would get swept or not, because I hadn't seen anything from the team that showed like the fortitude, like that mental fortitude. The edge that I kind of gave them was the mental fortitude edge, plus the great leadership up top that we've already done this. So we're not afraid of any situation that this team can put us in. So I expected them to kind of show that, and they actually showed it at, that night. And I actually saw it again last night, to be honest with you. They lost last night because of talent. They didn't lose last night because of they weren't trying or because of a game plan. They lost last night because, the reason that I think they're going to lose the series, freaking AD and freaking LeBron are too much. And when you have to deal with those two monsters, if KCP, somebody who we've derided here on our show, KCP played really good last night. So one thing about us on our show, we're going to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah,
even if
much.
it's a guy that we, don't like or don't think is any good, because
we're not haters like that, man.
we ain't those types of haters. We may not like you,
credit is due.
but when you show up, ain't nothing we can do but say, man, that dude showed up. Caldwell Pope, Kentavious showed up last night in a huge manner. He hit a lot of big shots or necessary shots early, and he hit a couple big shots late.
He hit a couple late because LeBron and AD didn't really have great games. They were a little off most of the game.
LeBron was off for the last two games. I don't know what the hell that was, but LeBron's been off for the last 2 games.
Right. So it was the role players that pretty much kept them in the game, and their defense, man. LA played hellified, intensive defense last night and kind of keep Miami in check. Because the one thing that I noticed, Jimmy Butler was being very passive in the second half yesterday. And a lot of that, I think, had to do with they put Anthony Davis on him. That really just shows the athleticism of Anthony Davis that can, as a center, basically, he was able to guard Jimmy Butler. And I think he just took Jimmy Butler out of his hookup with his length. Jimmy Butler was not attacking. He would get to the rim, and then he was kicking it back out for a three instead of trying to finish and draw the foul. And I think that really, to me, was a turning point in the game that kept Miami from winning that game, because the game was there. Miami was going to LA, and they had a really good chance of winning that game, but Jimmy Butler was just being passive in the fourth quarter.
They were definitely there. You're absolutely right. They were capable of. They had every opportunity, should I say, of winning the game or having the game be a bit closer than what it was with just a make here or there. I'll be honest. I think parts. I agree with what you're saying about AD covering him, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go a step further because LeBron was covering them too. So now you're dealing with both of these guys. Not to mention, Jimmy on the other end is also covering AD at times. So that's a lot. Like, dude, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And that's where you need another superstar on your team with you.
You gotta have, if nothing else, you gotta have somebody who's capable of being a wing defender. And we go right back into that positionless talk again, where you got guys that are, we can't say that they're necessarily a power forward. We can't say that they're necessarily a small forward. They just can play. And you need guys like that. Like, LA is long. LA is a long, athletic team. Of course, nobody's longer than freaking the Brow, but they are a long team that you have to get into. And when you give some of those guys space, the Carusos, the Rondos, when you get those guys space, they can score in space. And I think the first 2 games, Miami was running their zone that they had been running all playoffs, which was working. But the problem that we are seeing LeBron and them have now, they've kind of come out of that. Now they're going to man-to-man. But I think now they're expending a lot of energy chasing guys, which is not leaving a lot for their offense. So I think it's kind of playing against them right now.
Right. And another point, Miami's been without Goran Dragic now for, I think, 3 games now.
Yeah.
But that's a testament to, Spoelstra and those guys to be able to hang in there without your second leading scorer.
Yeah.
On the team. A lot of offense they're missing. Now, Tyler Hero has really stepped in and taken up a lot of the slack, but that kid is only, 19, 20? And so down
20.
the stretch, 20. So down the stretch yesterday, he was trying to, help Jimmy and take a lot of shots, but he ended up taking a lot of bad shots. Where I think if you had the veteran presence of Dragic in there going in the game late, they might have been able to, to pull that game out. Because really, besides, Hero and Jimmy and Dragic, like, who's really else a scorer on Miami? Who else can go and get their own shot and their own bucket?
Yeah, okay. That's a different question. I was going to say it's a lot of them that can score. But yeah, the different question, the more accurate question that I think you were trying to go for, you just hit on, which is who can get their own shot? Who's not worried about if while I'm standing here in the corner, I'm open, I'm open, I'm open. I hope they throw it to me now, type of a scenario. Uh, so I don't really know that they have a lot of those guys on their team other than Jimmy,
Right.
Dragic, who's not playing. Bam can. I don't know that you really want to see him doing a lot of dribbling, but he can create his own shot. So I'll give him that much credit. And I think Hero can. I'm just not sure that that's what you want Hero doing.
He's just young, and that's why I wanted to see the Boston LA series, that matchup, because Boston has three guys that can go and get their own shot. And I think it would have created a matchup. Well, it would have been a matchup problem on both sides. And I wanted to see how, the coaches made adjustments in that case. I mean, Jaylen Brown can get his own shot. Tatum, you got Kemba Walker. Marcus Smart has improved a great deal. They got a little bit of size too, with their center. So I really wanted to see that matchup, but that's neither here nor there because it didn't happen. But I just knew that Miami just didn't have enough horses to pour this series out. And I thought they would get a game, which they did. And now I think now that LeBron smells blood, AD smells blood, I'm looking for a blowout tomorrow in Game 5.
Who's the MVP?
It would be LeBron because he probably, when all is said and done, you look at his overall numbers, he's probably averaging close to a triple double in the finals at 35 years old, 17 years in the league. So now, as far as the most important player who does like all the dirty work has been Rajon Rondo. Rajon Rondo only scored maybe like 2 points last night, but he did a lot of the little things, man, keeping the ball in play on offensive rebounds, tap outs. He was doing all the little gritty stuff, man, that gave
That's what he
LA
does.
possessions, man. The stuff that didn't show up in the stat line.
That's what
But
he does. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
that's who he is.
so like his veteran presence, man, was
It was
major,
incredible.
huge,
Like
man.
having him out there on a couple of those, especially when the game was really, really close. There was times when the game was like within 3 points or 5 points or whatever, and LA would miss a shot. And I mean, this dude would just get his hand in there, him and Caruso. Just get your hand in there and poke that thing out, and you get another, 14 seconds. When you down in the fourth quarter, 3 points and 5 points, and you don't get that rebound, and now we've just spent close to 24 seconds trying to get this
Right.
bad shot. Now we've given them another 14 seconds, and I'm already tired, and I'm already out of position. You know what I mean? It just continues to create that landslide, that snowball at the top of the mountain, and especially in that possession, that ends up kind of taking you out. And I think Rondo really played that, but that's who Rondo is. He's the savvy vet. He's, to me, right now, Rondo is playing, and I think you pointed this out. Rondo is playing the Ron Harper on the Bulls, Ron Harper on the Lakers role. He's
Mm-hmm.
just a savvy vet who's just going to keep everybody cool. I'm also going to knock down this jump shot. I'm also going to get this steal. I'm
Right.
also going to set this pick. I'm also going to get this one you know what I mean? Like, that's just what he's going to do. And you need that guy. You got to have that guy because it can't always be LeBron. It can't always be AD. Sometimes you need those guys to do the, like you say, the triple-double stuff. Whoa, he threw that dude all the way out. My bad. I got the game.
No, it's okay.
They said he was safe. I don't know. I don't know how he missed that. But, yeah, you need those other guys, the others, as Shaq says. You need the others to show up at times. You need those others
Right.
to make those plays. And when you make those plays as the others, you make what LeBron and what AD have to do a lot smoother. So I'm gonna tell you this right now. The question that I pose to you: Who's the MVP of the finals? If LA wins, which we all anticipate, but we've seen goofier things happen.
Yeah, especially
Um,
this year.
it's especially this year. Um, if the Lakers, which I have picked the Lakers to win, because I know a lot of people know I'm not necessarily the LeBron apologist. I'm not necessarily the LeBron lover that most people are. So this has nothing to do with hate. I picked these guys to win this series. I'm just saying if, because it hasn't happened yet. They play again on Friday. But if, as we expect, the Lakers win, if LeBron wins this MVP, the entire situation is rigged. The MVP of this series is Anthony Davis, period. This dude has destroyed, and he has been the one part that the Heat cannot deal with at all. He's been the matchup issue. Not to say that LeBron ain't, uh, that he sucks, or to say that he hasn't done anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not even coming close to saying that. What I am saying is that the difference between because I'll be honest with you, I thought that Kyrie could have been the MVP when uh, the championship was here in Cleveland. Here's the difference in what happened there or didn't happen there that is happening now. The games that Kyrie played really, really huge in were some games that LeBron played really, really huge in. So it
Okay.
kind of got overshadowed, as it's probably gonna always be. Here, AD has been the monster. Like, he's been the monster. He's been the guy that nobody could guard. When you go 13 for 14 and he's averaging over 30 points in the series. So if this
Well, he's
dude
averaging, he's 25.8.
in the series,
Yeah, so I'm gonna run these numbers by you here. So LeBron is 27, basically 28, 27.8 points, 11 rebounds, and 8.5 assists. Where AD is 25.8. Let's round it up to 26 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. So, like I said, LeBron is close to averaging, a triple double in the series, man. That's why I have to give it to, LeBron, because I think LeBron just makes everything run, man. It's like as he
no,
goes,
he definitely makes everything run. Now
it,
that part, well, now you listen. I said it 1,000 times. One of the things that he may not win championships, but there's a reason that you're there. You know what I mean? He may not have won every time he got there, but he was the reason. He was the main reason that you were there. Because he is, especially when he was younger. I mean, uh, he's such an issue in terms of the matchups. The dude is a huge issue. However, these guys do not win this series without KD. I'm sorry, not KD, AD.
oh, of course, yeah, he needs. I mean, you
And
can say the same thing. No, they wouldn't win without LeBron either. That
and
that's
I,
that's a tough.
well, they wouldn't be there without LeBron. They wouldn't win this series without AD. And I said the same thing with Kyrie. I didn't think that they would have won without Kyrie. Not that year. I know they didn't win without Kyrie the next season too, but they added Kevin Durant, so that was a totally different animal. I
Of
think
course, yeah,
those first 2 years, if Kyrie didn't get hurt the first year, in 2015, we win that series.
right.
We win, of course, that next year. I would expect for us to have won that series too. And then they added Kevin Durant, which, to be completely honest, nobody on the planet of Earth, short of the Dream Team, would have been able to even almost compete with that team in a 7-game series. So, I mean, that is what it is. I wasn't mad because I knew that, LeBron was going to win that thing. I'm just telling you, my expectation is that AD wins this MVP. I think he has shown him his value. Like last night, that it was all him. Last night was almost all him. He
Yeah,
just
in the fourth quarter,
and that's
because
what
he
I
was
listen.
struggling
That's what
most
they
of the
told me.
game. In the
LeBron
fourth
didn't have
quarter,
a great game yesterday. He had some numbers, but LeBron did not play great.
no.
LeBron was all over the place yesterday. I was like, it was. I knew he played a bad game in Game 4, but my thoughts were, hey, that was Game 4. That's one bad game. That ain't nothing. But to have two in a row, I didn't expect to see that. I didn't expect. Like I kept waiting for him to just break out and start to put together some stuff to where you start to say, okay, this is what I expected to see out of LeBron, like late in the game and stuff like that. He had a better second half than he had the first half. I'll tell you that, which ain't hard because he was awful in the first half. Then he started knocking down a few shots. He started, making some plays
Right.
that you
And,
expected
and,
him to make.
and you know what? And looking at the box score, it's funny how much these guys kind of mirror each other, man. So last night they were both 8 for 16 from the floor. AD was 2 of 4 from the 3-point line. LeBron was 2 of 5 from the 3-point line. Free throws, LeBron was 10 of 12 from the free throw line. AD was 4 for 4. And AD had 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. And LeBron had a triple double last night, man. He was 28. He had 28 points. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't triple double. It was close to it though. 28 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists. So and that's crazy because we'll say, okay, LeBron was off, which he was, and still damn near had a triple double.
Well, because of how he plays. I mean, the game is played in such an open fashion. I mean, it literally suits how he plays right now. And that's not a knock. That's not a slight either. It's none of that. It's the way that the game is played. LeBron has figured it out and has made it fully work for what he does. And it does. It just works well for what he does. Which is why he's so good, which is why he's the best in this generation. That's why he's the best. Nobody can get in this dude's way and slow this guy down. Like, especially there's some guys that can get in his way and slow him down, but not getting to these games and not from getting the numbers that he wants to have. When you look at the numbers that he has, which is why everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's so good. This is one of the reasons why you have to watch the game. Because if you don't watch the game and if you don't know the game, you start to miss how the game actually played out. Because there's parts of those games, the reason that I say he was off isn't because I think, oh, he went 8 for 16. That's 50%. That's the problem I have with numbers. If you watch the game, his first half was not 50% from the field. He did not play that great of a game in the first half, and the announcers were even talking about how he was kind of still struggling, almost having like a Game 4 hangover, almost.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: when you have a guy like LeBron, the ability that this guy has, my expectation almost always is that he's gonna figure it out. Like at some point, it's gonna start to balance out because that's just how he plays.
Right, and then he affects the game in so many ways. Like even if you remember when he was in Cleveland, he had a couple of games. And there wasn't many in his career where he didn't score double figures, but we still won because because he'd have like 15 assists.
Yep.
And 10 rebounds. He was able to affect the game like that, and that's the true marker of a superstar. They want to handle that superstar moniker way too easy.
To everybody. They want to give it to everybody. But everybody can't win a game when you're not doing all of the things that you normally do.
Right. To me, superstars affect the game in more ways than just one. Like if you're having an off night scoring, a superstar, okay, I'm going to get to the free throw line. I'm going to get some other team in foul trouble. I'm going to push from the line. I'm going to be an assist demon that day. I'm going to be a distributor. or reap somewhere that you're gonna still leave your mark on the game to keep your team in the
Yeah.
game. That's
When you're not hitting your shot, when you're not in the spots that you normally get in, and if you've played any sport, I don't care what sport it is, we all have a groove that we get in. And there's days where you think you did everything the way you're supposed to do it, and that groove just ain't there that day.
right.
And but when that groove isn't there, does everything go away? Or do you try to do the best that you can? Basketball is one of those few sports that, like in baseball, if you're a pitcher and you don't have your groove today, it's not much you can do but try to keep the balls in the yard until the coach gets you out the game.
Right.
It's not a lot that you can do to recoup what you might have thrown away. Same thing in football. If you're running a day and you can't really see the hole the same way, and this is your first fumble, now you fumble again, like nobody wants to give you the ball again. Nobody wants that third fumble. You don't even really want the ball again.
Right.
Basketball is one of those few sports where if I'm not hitting my shots, I can box this guy out and get a rebound or keep him from getting a rebound. I can still play defense and stop this guy from maybe getting his 35. Maybe he only gets 20 tonight, and I make him shoot another 10, 15 baskets, even though I don't knock my shots down per se. And like you say, you can also go to the free throw line. I ain't necessarily hitting my field goals, but I can hit my free throws to
Right.
get myself back into rhythm. So basketball is a different kind of sport like that. And LeBron tends to do those things. There's a lot of people that when they're not scoring, it's no point in having them on the floor. LeBron ain't that dude.
Right.
LeBron ain't that guy. I don't give a damn. I play on 2K. On 2K, the Lakers traded for me, and then they wanted to sign me to a large contract. So of course I signed that joint, and I play with LeBron, and I'm like this. It's times we in the game and on the video game, and I'm like, why the hell did he take LeBron out the game? Why the hell did you take LeBron out the game? You know what I mean? So
I hate the way they sub in 2K, man. That's just a whole
I
nother story.
can't stand it, bro. I
I'm
can't
to the
stand it.
point now where I take it off auto sub now because they pull my guy. It be crunch time. They pull my whole starting lineup out and put
Listen,
in 5 bums.
why am I on the floor with KCP and some rookie dude? I don't even know who this dude is. So it's me, KCP, this rookie guy, and they made a trade for Marc Gasol. So I got slow Marc Gasol lumbering up the floor. LeBron and AD on the bench chilling. Oh yeah, and what's his name? The light skinned kid, the tall light skinned kid that plays.
JaVale McGee.
No, not McGee.
Morris.
Nope, he ain't on the squad. Why can't I think his name? Kuzma.
Okay.
That's who you got me out here waiting. We down 5 with 3 minutes to go. Man, if you don't get LeBron back in this damn game.
Right.
So, I mean, even in the virtual world, that's how important having a guy that is as capable and as talented as LeBron is on the floor. Gotta have a dude on the floor, and he's just gonna create.
Hey, RP, fix your audio a little bit. It's a little bit off on my end.
Am I going away? Or is it like a little fuzzy?
It just sounds like you're in a distance a little bit.
Sorry about that, America. How's it now?
It's cool. Yeah, there you go. It's much better now.
But yeah, that's when you have a guy that's that talented and that gifted, it's hard to not have him around on the floor and clutch big situations. Because even if he don't hit it, or even if he doesn't get the ball, having him out there creates the illusion that he's going to get it. So you have to account for him. You don't leave that dude alone. You don't leave him open. No. you gotta account for him. So that's a problem all in itself. Just having to account for him can be a problem. So I mean, again, the finals are on Friday, and we'll see how all of those things play out. I still say that LeBron doesn't win the MVP,
And
but
I'm
I
predicting.
suppose, but I suppose if he does, because I didn't know that he was averaging a triple double in the finals. So I suppose if he does, he definitely numbers wise, if they just go by numbers, which is what I said about Kyrie, by the effect of the game. I think it goes a different way, but it's hard to say that triple double don't have effect on the game too. So
Right. So, yeah, so I'm predicting a blowout tomorrow. So I think the Lakers will be Friday rather. And I believe the Lakers will be crowned world champions, and I'm predicting a LeBron MVP. Now, one thing that you wanted to touch on really quickly, and we had talked about this earlier, because they were discussing this on ESPN, is like who's like the next closest to LeBron James as far as, being that dominant player in the NBA. And I think, Stephen A said there's no gap between him and KD. And I disagree right now. As much as I like KD, I need to see him carry a team to the finals that did, because I still don't count that championship with Golden State. And then, it's going to sound like a little bit of hate, but that's just a cheat code. It was just too much. I don't think nobody could deal with that. I mean, it's overwhelming, what they were coming at you with. So I want to see, now that KD is in Brooklyn, he does have a superstar with them in Kyrie, but they're not loaded like the Golden State team was. So I want to see, and now Brooklyn has a lot of good players. I mean, Karis LeVert, Dinwiddie, the dude I call the Afro Samurai. What's the guy with the Afro?
It's Allen.
Yeah, him. Yeah, I like him. He's a gritty player. They still have DeAndre Jordan. So they have pieces there, but it's not a superstar-laden team. It's not really a big three or a big four or really a big five as they had in Golden State.
A big 4.5 in Golden State.
Yeah, so now I want to see if KD is able to be that leader and take Brooklyn, to the finals. Even get a championship. But as of right now, because I haven't seen him do that yet, because he couldn't do it in OKC, I'm not going to say that Kevin Durant is on an equal level of LeBron James at this point in time.
I can't disagree with that. I think that's a solid, pretty solid assessment of that situation. I think that I can see why that could be the next suggestion of person or player that is going to maybe make that next move. Because I think that if we look at the players that are playing now, there's only really like one dude that could even almost equate to what LeBron is, and that's KD. I mean, the thing I do like about KD is he really is kind of like an assassin. He is a guy that, has a killer instinct. My problem with his killer instinct is that we never saw that particular kind of killer instinct when you didn't. I mean, listen, I can be the toughest dude on the street if I got an entire army behind.
Exactly.
But how tough are you when it's just you and this other guy that you got beef with, and y'all just saw each other at the gas station? Right. You know what I mean? Like, how tough are you now? Type of thing. And when he was in OKC, he actually had one shot to really prove that he was that guy, and they lost 3-1 in the conference finals.
Well, remember they were up 3-1.
That's what I said. He lost a 3-1 lead in the
Okay, all right. I got you. Yeah.
So you were up 3-1 with the opportunity to go in a different and be a different kind of KD with a different kind of OKC versus the Cavs, and you couldn't get it done.
And then you go join the team that beat you.
And after that, you turn around and go join that squad. Like I don't particularly care for Stephen A. Smith, but I agree with him on this on this point. I still think that's one of the weakest moves from a superstar standpoint in sports.
It was.
That was weak as hell.
It's like me, like I'm not a gifted athlete or anything like that, but I've been competitive in several. I like to bowl. I was a bowler. Still am a bowler. With video games, things like anything that's a competitive night. Even we were playing street ball back in the day. We used to play street football, sandlot baseball, anything of that nature. Anytime that my team got beat, I wanted to run it back. I didn't want to go join the other side or bring like their best player on my side. I always wanted to run it back and beat them. I don't want to join them. I don't care how good of friends we are. Like once it's that competitive thing going, I want to beat you. And but guys now are just, built a little bit different. I try not to be that old head all the time. It's like, well, everything in our day was better. But what I will say is that as far as the competitive nature of guys that we grew up watching, I think was a lot better for the game than it is now, better for sports, period. Because back in that old NBA, man, you just had guys that clearly hated each other. They would be cool in the off season, but during the season, it's like, we're not friends. Like, I'm trying to beat you, I'm trying to take your head off.
They could be friends in the season. However, here we are, Magic and Isaiah, playing for a championship, and now we about to scrap.
And their friendship hasn't been the same since that series, and was it 88?
And that was in 88.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the banana boat group that we see now, where these guys are, they're like in the limo singing that song from the damn Hangover. Oh, we're the three best friends that anyone can have. That's whack to me. And I agree. I don't always want to be the old guy, the old school guy that thinks all things young, suck, totally and all that stuff. I don't want to be that guy. I really do try not to be that guy. But to be honest, I do like my stuff. I like my hammer. I don't think you got a hammer better than me. But I will give your hammer credit if your hammer works as well as mine. So when I see things that are as good, or when I see things that are as capable, I give that credit when it's due. However, I like my basketball because, like you say, I like to know that when the Lakers and the Celtics played each other, somebody gonna get punched. And I'm waiting on anybody to punch Danny Ainge. Please punch Danny Ainge. Is there anybody anywhere that's gonna punch Danny Ainge? I will go in and punch him myself. You know what I mean? Those are the things that you don't get that fervor no more, like that angst about a team coming in like you used to back in the day. You don't get that toughness. Not to say that these guys can't play tough or don't play tough. The problem I have is that they're really just playing tough. You knew you was gonna get some back alley shit happening in the game. You still to this day ain't forgiving Mahorn for shooting that short elbow to Mark Price's head.
Oh man, that pretty much probably cost us the championship.
That cost everything. That was it.
Because Mark Price was never the same.
We don't know if there was going to be a championship year, but one thing we do know, it wasn't going to be without Mark Price.
Yeah, Mark Price played. He came back, but he just wasn't.
He wasn't the same after
Well, he
that. Like
wasn't as
he was
effective.
not the same after that hit. Like he was out
Right.
for about 6-7 games, and the
Something
Cavs
like
went
that.
about 500, which
And
gave
it cost us the
Detroit
division.
the
Yeah.
opportunity to catch back up because I think the Cavs were up like 2 or 3 games at that time.
Right. People forget, man. Back in the mid '80s, the late '80s, the Cavaliers would go toe to toe with the Pistons, Bulls,
Everybody,
and the
yeah,
Celtics back then.
even
The
the
Cavs
Lakers,
weren't
like
one to be played with. Yeah,
they were
the Cavs
playing against the
were
Lakers, man, and play really well against the Lakers. They just didn't do well in the playoffs. I don't know that Coach Lenny, uh,
I know you didn't go
his
there.
his matchups sometimes were issues in the playoffs, as we know. And I think honestly, ultimately, that became their downfall. As respected as Lenny was, I just don't think he needed somebody else on that bench that could
Yeah,
just lean in and be like, "No, Lenny, we need to do
yeah.
this, that, or the other." But I don't think
That
the NBA was set up that way back then either, though.
no, that and the Ron Harper trade definitely didn't help. But that's another
Listen, you know me,
tangent.
man. That
We'll talk
Ron
about
Harper
that all
trade is
day.
what threw me off the wagon. That Ron Harper trade threw me
Right,
clean off there. I was like, "Oh man, y'all got to be out your mind. Y'all
right.
trying to compete with Michael Jordan, and you gonna trade the guy that might be able to go back and forth with him? Okay,
Exactly.
okay, y'all ain't trying to win. All right, bet.
Right. All right, man.
But
So,
yeah, let's skip past the NBA. We've covered that. We've covered the Major League playoffs, at least for now, as far as they've gotten, and then let's move smooth transition, if we can, into a little bit of football. Football has taken over not just America, but it has taken over my life. And I have found myself, I remember when it first started up, 4 weeks ago, about a month or so ago, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. And a short 4 weeks later, I got my Cavs shirt on, but I'm gonna use the Cavs slogan. I am all in to the football season right now. I'm all the way in, man. I'm loving it. Uh, my Browns are playing solid football for the first time in I don't know how long. And trust me, we all understand because I'm sure we got some folks out there that's like, why are you getting this excited a month in? Because the Browns are going to turn into the Browns. There's nobody who knows the Browns can turn into the Browns more than Browns fans.
exactly.
So give me my month, my 3-1, and let me gloat and let me live. Please and thank you. All
Right.
right. So
Let us
as we get
enjoy
ready,
this.
go
'Cause
ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
you know
What
how
you
we
say?
say, just let us enjoy this because we don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah.
And me being the super pessimist that I am, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. But I'm trying to stay positive. But
Listen, I think we
every
all
time I
are.
get excited, the last time I was this excited was 2007, and all we had to do was beat like the Cincinnati was what 3-12. All we had to do was
All
go
we
into
had to
Cincinnati
do.
and beat them.
But you
And
gave
Derek
the ball to
Anderson,
Derek Anderson, bro.
yep, Derek Anderson in a windstorm, a 40-mile-per-hour wind. They said they're gonna throw the ball 35 times that game, and all Derek Anderson did was throw 4 interceptions. That was the last time the Browns finished above 500. We finished 10-6,
I'm in
and
six and didn't make the playoffs.
so ever since then, I don't get it. I'm always waiting for. Well, I won't say just that season alone. It's been like this for a while, but
Yeah, it's been a
don't
few
get.
seasons.
I don't get excited. Like I'm enjoying us being 3-1. I'm happy, but I'm trying to temper my enthusiasm because I'm waiting for some type of bad luck, something to happen that derails this season, and I have to do that for my own mental state.
For your
I have
own
to protect
sanity,
my
bro.
mental state. Yeah, I have for my own sanity. I have to protect it. They're
You
not
trying to
sucking
protect
me
your
like
own
you're
sanity,
not.
man.
Yeah, you're not going
Well,
to suck me in
I tell you what,
and disappoint me.
as a Browns fan, you have to protect your own sanity because the Browns don't give a shit about your sanity.
No, they sure don't.
You know, they'll drag your sanity through the gravel pit that is their 16 week season. They would just dog you all, and then you get other fans of other teams that will just look at you and shake their heads like, "Are you kidding me, man? Like, it's really."
Right, because
I,
we never do anything easy. Like this
we,
Cleveland sports
we
people,
can't.
we never do anything easy.
We
But
can't.
let's go ahead and do a quick preview here. We have the Indianapolis Colts coming in town. They are 3-1 also, I believe.
Mhm.
And they're coming in with the number one defense. So this would probably be our first true test against a quality defensive team this week. So what are your thoughts going into this game, and what do you think we need to do to knock off Old Man Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts?
Well, I would like to say something sexy. I would like to say something that nobody else is thinking about. The truth is, simple football is what we need to do. We need to do what I've always felt like we needed to do. We still are developing our identity. We are still developing how we play on a play to play basis. So I can't say anything sexy yet. So going into this game, as you pointed out, we are dealing with the best defense in the National Football League, and definitely the best defense. Obviously, the best defense that we've played all season. They allow somewhere around 4 yards of carry,
Okay.
rushing wise. So that could be a problem. They also have the lowest passer rating, number one in the lowest passer rating in the league, and they're only allowing like 6 yards per attempt. So that could be a problem. Here's the plus side, though. Baker Mayfield only averages about 160, 170 yards per game anyway.
Right.
So the passing game isn't, I won't say that that's not a concern. Here's what we need to do. We need to run the ball. Running the ball, running the ball, running the ball. Anybody who's watched this show, to Sean, I probably sound like a broken record. Every week, I've said the run game is our issue. We have to run the football. If we can run the ball effectively, I'm not necessarily saying we need to do what we did last week where we were averaging about 8.5 to 9.5 yards per carry. That would be awesome if we can. But being able to run even at close to 5 yards a carry is effective enough. You know what I mean? That gives us some room where they still have to honor what we do on the run part of the game. So I'm looking for the run game to still be what the run game is. I saw a great platoon of guys that showed up last week when my guy Nick Chubb went out of the game. I'm expecting to see the same thing this week. I hope to see the same thing this week. I'm also going to bring up the offensive line. With this defense being as good as it is against the run and against the pass, you're going to have to give Bake a little bit of time, and you're going to have to open up some of those holes. But that also brings in the third thing that I think the offense needs to do, short passes. I think we're going to see a lot out of Austin Hooper, or we should. And with Kareem Hunt on the field a little bit more, we'll probably see a little more passes, a few more passes rather to the running backs. I think that will
Running
be
backs.
effective to
And that's
slow
what I'm
down what
excited
they
to see.
do. I'm sorry, what's that?
That's what I'm excited to see, because now Kareem Hunt, like the league has delegated him as basically a backup running back, but Kareem Hunt is not anyone's backup running back. So now he's going to get the bulk load of the carries. I'm excited to see him because he's trying to reestablish himself. So I'm excited to see now that he has that shot again. How he's going to look. And also,
Yeah.
we haven't really run any screen passes or anything like that this year. And I think we're primed to catch a couple of teams off guard with that. And this is a great game for that.
And
With Kareem, get him out there with those big hogs out there.
yep.
With the line, and I think
And
we
that's
can.
what I'm looking forward to. Like I think that the time is now. You've built up the run game to a certain point. You've kind of imposed your will at the point of attack from the offensive line standpoint. Now you're getting ready to run into the best complete defense, not just a good defensive line, not just a good group
Right.
of linebackers, not just a good defensive backfield. You are getting ready to run into the best defense that you've seen. Now, I couldn't say what they do or run schematically, meaning the Colts. I don't know what they do. However, I know that if we beat them at the point of attack, the offensive line has to create those holes still, and we still got to create some time for Baker, even if it's going to be a short pass. And they got to clear those passing lanes because, again, Baker's not that tall. So you got to be able to give him somewhere to throw those balls to. I'm
Right.
looking forward to seeing Baker, potentially uh, keep this streak of no turnovers going. I think he's getting settled in
Right.
that backfield. I think he's not pressing. I think he's playing. He's doing exactly what he needs to. I wouldn't call him a game manager. I would call it he's doing what he needs to do to continue his team winning. He sees what is working, and he's just going to do what it takes for us to win. Because sometimes you might have that play downfield, but bro, I got to make this short play because if I hold on a little bit longer, I'm going to take a sack. And it changes out the play call after that. So I'm interested
Right.
to see how they affect or how affect this Colts defense as what the Browns want to do offensively. Also, the other thing I want to point out is Miles Garrett. That's the other key to the game. Is Miles Garrett. Miles Garrett is this offensive line is actually really good. Uh, the Colts offensive line, and they have to be because Rivers is legitimately a statue.
Right.
He's not very mobile, and he's old, so can't be getting that dude touchdown. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, so you got to protect him. There's no way he would have went there if he didn't think he would be protected. And they have a really good offensive line, so I would like to see what type of disruption Browns can do versus
Right.
this offensive line.
And
What about
Indianapolis hasn't done much offensively yet this year. They've beaten Jacksonville, Minnesota. Um,
the Jets?
who else did they beat? The
The
Jets
Jets and the Bears.
and the
They beat
Bears. So they lost one of those. Who did they lose to?
they
No,
lost. I'm
actually they
sorry.
lost to Jacksonville. They
They
lost to
lost to
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, but they played. They beat the Jets. They beat the Bears, and they beat the Vikings.
Right. All right. So this probably will be the biggest test for their defense because they haven't faced an offense like ours with a rushing attack like ours. So that'll be a test for them. One big key is that Phillip Rivers will give you a couple.
Yep.
He's going to throw a couple of.
Yep.
He's going to give you a couple of turnovers each game. You have to take advantage of them. So
Yep.
like last week against Dallas, we probably dropped 3 or 4 interceptions. We have to make those plays when they're there. Because we've never in the past the Browns haven't played against Phillip Rivers well at all. I think we only beat him that I can think of maybe once. Matter of fact, the year we went 1-15, he's the one. That's that one game that kept us from going 0-16 that year. Was beating San Diego at the time. But normally we don't fare against Phillip Rivers all that well. So when he gives you the opportunities, when he throws those 2 ill-advised passes that he does every game.
That was a different Phillip Rivers too.
It
I
was.
mean, the Phillip Rivers that we're going to see on Sunday is playing a lot more like Baker Mayfield right now.
Yeah.
About 165,
That's
170
true.
yards a game, et cetera, because he's just not. I mean, listen, the dude's almost 40. I'm almost 50, and trust me, if I had to throw a football to my porch right now, I would be hurt for weeks.
I had to do it. My arm will be with the football. I throw the
Yeah,
ball, my
yeah.
arm's gonna go
So I
with it.
mean,
So
but that's not and it's not a knock on Rivers. I think Rivers is a solid enough quarterback in his heyday. I think he's just there holding that spot over until they get somebody there. So I just think that those are the things that get
yeah,
back to our points. I think that those are the things that we need to do or that we need to exploit. They don't really have a huge run game. We haven't played great against the run anyway, but if we can put the game on Phillip Rivers and get pressure on that guy, it could change some things. So I'd like to see what the defense is going to do, what the coordinators have lined up for Sunday. I also would like to see what OBJ is going to do. Again, space, get this dude in space, get this dude in space, get this
agreed,
dude
agreed,
in
agreed.
space. I've been saying it
Right.
since week one. Don't tell me that this dude sucks. No, he doesn't. He sucks the routes that y'all got him running, where he's running into 5 and 6 other guys. Get him in space. Put him on one-on-one situations. I can't say it enough.
Yeah, and that's why I
So,
give Stefanski credit because he's doing things, starting to do things to put OBJ in a position where he can make plays. So, one thing I know that we wanted to touch on too, especially going through this pandemic, now the NFL is starting to be really hit hard with positive tests for COVID-19. And one of my friend of mine, I'm gonna give a shout out to Michael Jennings out there. He just sent me an article where
what's up,
Tennessee
Mike?
may be facing some type of sanctions or penalties. Because I guess what happened when they're trying to, doing contact tracing to see what happened, I guess Tennessee had a group workout outside of the facility. And maybe that's what caused the outbreak on their team because they have what now up to 22 players
And
that
that's
have
just
tested positive. That might be including the coaches as well. So
that's just ridiculous, bro.
yeah. So
I
these
mean,
guys, man, you have to be smart. And I think here's my thing, real quick. I think one of the issues is with a lot of people, um, and including myself. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I think with COVID-19 is tangible to a lot of people because a lot of people are testing positive, but they don't have any symptoms. They're not seeing, um, their peers or close family members actually getting sick, and especially athletes. These are conditioned athletes, young men. So even though a lot of athletes are catching it, you're not hearing about really any of the athletes getting really, really sick or hospitalized. I think like when Ezekiel Elliott had it, he said, he had a couple of sniffles. That was it. Russell Westbrook caught it. You didn't hear anything about him getting sick. Kevin Durant, just to name a few. Even with Cam Newton right now, okay. He's tested positive, but he's probably not sick. So I think these guys are taking things a little bit lightly. Now, here's the thing. Um, you're putting the season in jeopardy because if you test positive, they don't care if you're showing symptoms. They're worried about you spreading it to
somebody
coaches
else.
that may be a little
Yep.
older,
Yeah,
who may,
yeah. Who may not be able to deal with
adversely.
it the same way.
Yeah,
Or to,
exactly.
or to
So,
somebody's parents, or to somebody's wife, or to somebody's kids.
yeah. So
It's
you
a
need to
bigger
be,
situation. Like
you got
it's
to either
not
be
just
smart.
it's not yeah, you gotta be smart, bro. I mean, it's not just uh about the person that contacts it. A lot of people don't know this. Before we did the video, before we had a YouTube page and all that stuff, we were actually in the same room at all times doing this show.
Right.
Well, thank God for Zoom, but now we're doing it remotely because Sean has uh, an elderly grandmother that he's around all the time. His mom is uh, older as well, just like my mom. They're older. Like I come in contact with my mom. My dad is not in the best of health. My mother-in-law, who I live next to, is not in the best of health, and she's elderly as well. I have kids. Listen, I always feel like I'm the guy that would catch it, don't have any symptoms, and I'll come in contact with everybody and get everybody else sick. That's the worst case scenario for me personally.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't want to be sick either, but if I have to choose, I would probably choose to be sick and nobody else gets sick. But these NFL guys have to be more aware because again, but they're young guys. They're 20-year-old guys. And when I was 20 something, I thought I was Superman too.
Yep.
I thought there was no way that anything was gonna happen. I was in the Air Force and I mean, hell, I was doing all kind of stuff. I'm flying. I ain't even like to fly, but I'm flying in planes and I'm on the back of planes and I'm doing, you know, I'm doing stuff that I've never done before, feeling like, oh, I should be okay. And that's probably what these guys are thinking. But
Yeah.
it's reckless to
So
think that way, even for me back then. And it's reckless for these guys to think that way because there's more people involved in it than just you and yourself. So
right, and you're looking at maybe jeopardizing the season because now
the
Tennessee
entire season,
may
like
not,
you could
they
ruin
may
the
not
whole
be able to
season.
play Sunday in Buffalo. So that'll be two
So yeah, I
games
was
in a
getting ready to
row.
say, so as of now, they haven't made the official word, at least that I've seen. But they said the game is up in the air right now. They don't know
Right,
because
and then you
Tennessee,
had
they may not have enough guys to show up.
yeah, exactly.
And then why even bring them into it? If I'm the Bills, I'm not playing that game. If I'm a Bills player, like if I know that that team has been infected or affected, however you want to say it, I'm not. No, I'm good. I
Right,
said,
and I think if it comes out that they really did break protocol, I think the NFL is saying they may have them forfeit a game. Because really,
as they should.
yeah, because you may not like you can make up one postponed game, but two is asking a lot, especially because NFL is on. I mean, I guess maybe they can push some stuff back, but that's just
But how does that work with the NFLPA?
yeah, exactly. So we'll see how that shakes out. It was Wednesday. I'm pretty sure
Well,
by Thursday or Friday they'll make a decision whether or not they're
I
gonna
tell
play
you
that.
what, though, here's another problem. As we talked about the Bills and the Titans, it also came out that Stephon Gilmore tested positive.
Yeah, so that was New England. Yeah.
So now you have another game that could potentially be in jeopardy. So that's at least two Patriots that have tested positive in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. That's Cam and Stephon, and these guys are starters. And they also sent a picture or showed a picture where Stephon, after the game last week, was right in. He was given
Mahomes.
the freaking kid from Kansas City, their quarterback, giving him
Mahomes.
a hug, like face
Yeah.
mask to face mask. So yeah, you talking about jeopardizing a lot. So
Exactly.
that guy is positive, but they said that there's no positive test from the Chiefs as of today who played on
Right now. Right.
in that game. So that's as of right now. So we don't know how this is going to go, but just bringing it up, just like chopping it up and talking about it, I just feel like I agree with you now. I don't know that I agree with you at first when you were talking about uh, the potential of the NFL maybe going to a bubble or whatever, but I just don't, because you got so much personnel,
They
you
can
know,
only do it in the playoffs. They can't do it during the
yeah,
season.
there's no way to do it
You
during the
can
season.
have a playoff bubble. Like one city that can definitely hold a play. You probably, if you had to pick two cities to do a
Dallas,
playoff bubble, would be Dallas and probably Houston. They're in close proximity. You have a bunch of college campuses around that can probably you have your practice facilities as well as house the players. They would probably do more than just two, but those two cities,
those are two that would stand out to
yeah,
me
yeah,
that would be able to house the games, to give you the space that you needed.
right.
Um, I would like to say they would probably push for Vegas, but Vegas is still it's still too many people. Like there's nowhere for those guys to go.
Yeah, Vegas doesn't have. I mean, you lived in Vegas, so you know how it's set up out there. It's
Yeah,
really it wouldn't be
that's what I mean. It's nowhere for those guys to go. Like they would have to basically cordon off, say like the MGM, because they were talking about doing that for the NBA. But again, the NBA is like a third of their rosters are a third of the NFL rosters. So
and you have
that's just
less
the rosters. That's not
less
even
personnel, less
yeah,
equipment.
yeah, that's just the
Basketball is
roster.
easier to
That's
do the
not
bubble.
even
All you got to do is
that's
carry
not
around a bunch
even
of basketball and
the
pass.
rest of those guys. Yeah, that's not even the rest of the trainers and the equipment guys and you know what I'm saying, the assistants and all that stuff that have to make that trip in order for your team to be effective as you would like for them to be. So,
Right.
I mean, it's a lot to think about, bro. But let's leave the COVID stuff till we figure some stuff out on our Sunday show.
Right.
But right now, it looks like it might be an issue, and you
Right.
called it. You called it. You called it weeks ago. Again,
And wouldn't it be fitting that the Browns start off 8-1
that's
for
the
them to
only way
create
it's gonna happen, bro. That's the
and they
only way it's
cancel the
gonna happen.
season?
We
And they
would
cancel
have.
the season because of
We would have. We would be on our way into the playoffs at the number 1 seed, with Cleveland hosting all the games, and then they will cancel the season. That's the only way it's
right.
gonna happen.
That
But
would
you know
be
what? I
sick.
want to touch on something else real quick before we get to our picks from last week and then make our next picks for the weeks going forward. So we just played the Washington football team 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
and we're pretty familiar with their quarterback, uh, Mr. Dwayne Haskins. He's been demoted, and not just demoted. He's not even the backup right now.
Oh wow.
They, I saw where this dude has been demoted to the third string.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how fair that is. I don't know what he did. And now here's me thinking as an old guy. Here's me thinking as a guy who's managed the business and run businesses and stuff like that. What do you do when a player, to put yourself in a spot where this guy goes from being your guy to not even close to your guy? It has to be something that happened, right? I was trying to play with it in my head. I saw a post about it earlier on Facebook, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, I feel sorry for this guy." Talking about Haskins, I feel sorry for this guy because he hasn't had a chance to, really live up to this and blah 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 blah. I'm not sure he's on his second coach in his second year if he's been given the right development. A lot of that stuff I agree with because at the end of the day, you got to have player development, correct?
Right.
So, but here's my thing here. I don't think he's gotten the right development. His last coach wasn't sold on him. He didn't believe that this was his guy, and he felt like he was being forced on him by
But he didn't
management.
want to do right. He didn't want to draft him in the first place.
He didn't want to draft him to begin with. So when you're dealing with that by itself, that's an issue because they're not giving you extra help. They're not trying to make sure that you get what you need. They are almost setting you up to fail on purpose. So that's an issue. Now you get rid of that guy and you bring in a coach who is probably the total opposite of that guy. This dude is all business. And he's only about his quarterback not turning the ball over. He's almost a game manager because he's a defensive guy. So now he comes in and he wants you to be all business, but he hasn't learned how to be all business. So that's a problem too. Now, here's the third part of that. A lot of this is on Dwayne Haskins himself because he's not totally developed. And I don't know that he's doing everything that he can do to become totally developed. It falls on more than one person's shoe. It's not just one thing that's wrong here. It's a lot that's wrong here. They drafted the guy to potentially be the guy. The coach didn't want him. Now you force this guy out, and I don't know that this coach wants him. So where is the development? And then you got pictures of this guy. You got pictures of this guy. This is what I got right before we went on air. You got pictures of this guy not taking a single solitary snap, standing on the sideline during practice like this, like almost refusing to take snaps with the second team. And I think that's why he got demoted to the third team. However, where is the upside, and how do you recover this situation?
Well, he's not going to recover it in Washington because clearly with the new regime in there, they didn't draft him. And when you do that, when you pull the plug on him this early, you have no intentions of developing him because Washington's not going to win anything this year at all.
Nothing.
So if you really were invested in him and you would let it play out, okay, we're going to have growing pains this year. Let the kid play 16 games. Let's see how he develops. Doesn't show any promise, so you can go ahead and move on next season. So basically, he's going to get cut at the end of this season, and he's going to hopefully get picked up by a team that sees a potential that's willing to develop him. He needs time to sit behind a veteran quarterback and have a good coach that's going to be willing to teach him. And Washington.
And we talked about that. We talked about that, didn't we?
We did. So hopefully, it works. I think he's a good kid. He has some talent, man. He has the arm talent.
Oh, the upside on this dude is incredible. He might be as gifted as any Ohio State quarterback who has ever come out of Ohio State, short of Joe Burrow. Look, short of Joe Burrow.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow wasn't Joe Burrow at the time. Yeah, but Joe Burrow wasn't Joe Burrow at that time.
Yeah,
we didn't.
Yeah, stop with the. I just had somebody say, "Oh, well, Joe Burrow came out of LSU. He played 1 year at LSU, man. Stop it."
Didn't he play 2?
Listen, he played 1 year that mattered at LSU.
So you're just gonna have Ohio State take all the credit.
It's all about the old, baby.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and recap our picks from last week, which I did horrible. First game we picked was the Broncos and the Jets, and I have no idea. I don't know what possessed me to pick the Jets in that game.
Listen, I'll tell you why. See, thankfully, I take great notes. Here's why we both picked the Jets, because I picked the Jets too.
That makes me
we
feel
picked
bad.
the Jets because we thought with the young guy, Brett Rippon. By the way, I'm gonna take a little stage left. The Yankees are getting it handed to them right
now. They are. It was 7-2. I'm watching it.
It's 8-2 now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
okay. My TV's a little bit behind.
And they're getting it handed to them right now. But
well, Tampa Bay always plays the Yankees tough like that, though.
They always have. I don't even know why, but they always have. But we thought that Brett Rippon, wasn't going to play well because he's a young guy, his first start. But you know how that was going to work out for him. Greg Williams would probably tune him up, et cetera, et cetera. The problem here is that the Jets are a goddamn train wreck, bro. Listen, and this is coming from a Browns fan, bro. I know what? These guys are not good. I don't think Sam Darnold is as bad as he's looking. I think the Jets are just as bad as they're looking, and it's making Sam Darnold.
And I feel their pain when I watch the Jets. I'm like, man, that was us like 3 years ago.
It was us, bro.
Just doing anything possible to lose the game and hurt yourself. That was us. I'm like, man, I'm so glad that that's not us anymore, man. I was like, man, they are awful.
Anything possible to lose that game.
They do anything possible to lose the game.
There was a period where Brett Rippon was looking like he was looking like the next coming of John Elway, dog. He
Right.
was like lasering. I mean, he ended up having a couple picks or whatever in the game, but at that early in that game, man, this dude looked like he was unstoppable. They couldn't do anything to stop the guy. They couldn't do anything to stop him, and that's bad. Like, that's awful. And not just because
Right.
he's a young guy, but they couldn't figure out a way to make the bleeding stop. The bleeding was happening, and I think it's a lot about, it's a lot like with our Browns teams, where when the bleeding happens, people are just on the sideline like, man, just let it bleed, man. Who cares? Nobody cared.
Right.
And there wasn't anybody trying to make that bleeding stop. So we both ended up picking the Jets like idiots.
All right.
So
Right.
we both took an L.
Never.
We both took an L on that one.
I'll never pick the Jets again. The rest of the season. I don't care who
Our
they play.
second team was the second game rather was the Steelers Titans. That game was canceled.
Right.
So, we just take a watch on that one.
Yep.
Our
The
third
next game was Bills and Raiders, right?
was the Bills and the Raiders. We actually both picked the Bills. Josh Allen actually looked as good as I thought he was going to look, and they ended up winning. The Sunday night football game that we picked, the Eagles and the Niners. You picked the Eagles. I picked the 49ers. The Eagles. I thought Nick Mullins would play better. I thought the Niners would feel, better after winning that game the week before that.
But they're so depleted, man. They just don't have enough.
Yeah.
But that's an indictment on the Eagles because the Eagles really did. I mean, it's not like they blew them out. That was a close game.
It was close all the way through. I mean, but both teams are kind of depleted, actually.
Yeah.
But so we ended we ended our first week both 2-2. So we're still tied. We're basically 0-0 right now.
Right, because you picked the Browns to win, and I picked the Cowboys.
Because I picked the Browns, and this jagoff picked the Cowboys. Here we are. Look, I got Cleveland on my shirt. I got Cleveland behind me. I got Cleveland on my head. And this dude, this is all Cleveland show. But I know why he picked it. He is so jaded. He just expects us to always let us down. That's how it goes. I felt pretty good about the Browns last week. What it really boiled down to is I wasn't sure what Dallas was going to do. That was my caveat. But so we ended that week 2-2, and here we are getting ready to go into week 5. So last week Sean introduced the games. This week I think I'll introduce the games, and our first game shall be a classic Thursday night football. Because when does Thursday night football ever let us down?
Right.
We have actually a solid game that's coming up. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 3-1, going into Soldier Field versus the 3-1 Chicago Bears. I'll let you pick first, or give me what your breakdown might be for the game or whatever.
I'm just going with Tampa Bay. I think Tom Brady's finally getting that offense together. They're being a little bit more consistent offensively. I don't trust the Bears at all. You don't know what Nick Foles will show up from game to game. I don't think the Bears are really that good. I don't think they're actually a 3-1 team at this point in time. So I'm going with Tampa.
I'm going to go with Tampa as well. They're not that great defensively, but neither are the Bears. Their front four is incredible, by the way. with Khalil Mack and whatnot. But I think they're going to have to do a little bit more to win that game, and that's why I'm picking the Bucs
All
to
right.
win. The second game is the 2-2 Raiders going into venerable Arrowhead Stadium to see the Chiefs, who are 4-0. It's a divisional game, and I think that the Chiefs are going to continue to roll
I think so
through
too.
this part of the season.
Although the Chiefs struggled, who did the Chiefs play last week? They struggled against somebody.
They did struggle in that game, but it was. I mean, and here's the crazier part: saying that the Chiefs struggled, they struggled early. They figured it out by the end of the game and still won by like 12 or 13 points.
Right.
It's
New England's who they played. That's who they played.
the Patriots
Monday night. Yeah.
So because that game got postponed and pushed back or whatever, right? Because of Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I see the Chiefs winning this game. I think they're gonna have a problem with Waller. I think Waller is the best tight end the first month of the season in the NFL. But I don't think that's enough. I don't trust Derek Carr. Derek Carr actually has 8 touchdowns and no interceptions. How?
Yeah, I'll look at that stat. I don't know.
How on earth that happened? I have no idea how that's happened.
Right.
However, I think that's coming to an end on Sunday. I think
agree.
he'll probably end up throwing a pick. I don't trust Derek Carr. I just don't trust Derek Carr. Sorry for my Las Vegas fans that I know and love so well. I used to work in Vegas, for those of you who didn't know. Okay, so let's move on to our third game. We do 5 games a week, by the way. We don't do the whole schedule. We pick 5 games randomly, or I pick 5 games randomly, and I force Sean to make a pick.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. I get bullied into these 5 games every week. So we got the Bengals and Ravens.
So our third game, as John just pointed out, is the 1-2-1 Joe Burrow-led Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ratbirds. They are 3-1, by the way. The Ravens blitz a lot. Joe Burrow has, I don't know what's wrong with my tongue tonight. Joe Burrow has an awful offensive line. He's gonna get hammered. It's my expectation. Not a wish.
The line has to be at least 14 points.
Real quick. Dude, you know what? That's a good point. We need to look that up. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Because these guys blitz damn near half the time. The Ravens do.
Yeah. So a rookie quarterback coming in.
You got a rookie quarterback with a team that already blitzes veterans.
Right.
Almost half the goddamn time. With an offensive line that is awful.
Yep. And the line is 13, so the Ravens are favored by 13.
Yeah. Listen, man. I'm not shocked by that. Because the line, I need to get some of those prop bets. How many plays does Joe Burrow get before he is leaving concussed?
He's carried off the field. Man, you see that hit he took against Philly? And they called that, and they threw a flag on that play. And that wasn't an illegal hit. The hit they took against Philadelphia.
I didn't think it was an illegal hit.
It wasn't.
I didn't think that it was an illegal hit, but
we're in the era now where they pretty much want to put
they
a
just don't protect everything. They'll err on the side of caution because the NFL ain't. Listen, they're not trying to keep paying $200 million to folks for settlements, man. That's
right.
That's a lot.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah, it's all about lawsuits.
Even if I got $10 billion, I got to pay you $200 million. I'm mad as hell. Right. So they probably mad as hell too.
That's $200 million I ain't got at the end of the day.
So that's The both of us. Wait, hold on. So I should have been doing this earlier, but we both picked the Bucks. We
Right.
both picked the Chiefs. That was an easy one, actually. And so was this one. But that's a divisional game. That's the only reason I put that in there.
Right.
Because Sean usually hates any and everything that's not Browns within our division. And so do I.
Yeah, I hate
But
both of those teams equally. That's the
so
thing.
I actually thought Sean would say, who cares who wins this game? I hope the stadium implodes.
No, I'm not at that point yet. Now, when the Ravens and Steelers play each other, that's when I pray to the gods to.
I don't care. Listen, I hate Cincinnati. I hate
them too.
Baltimore. And I hate the stupid Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, let's move on because that can drive us down a whole nother road as well.
Right.
Our fourth game, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans, who are awful right now. The Texans are absolutely horrendous, but the Jags are too.
Yes. This is a game I will not be watching on Sunday. Most definitely. The only way I watch this game because I got the Sunday ticket. Why I have it, I'm kind of getting it for free right now, but I'm going to watch when the Browns are on. I'm not going to turn any other game anyway. But the only way that I flick to this game, if it's close in the fourth quarter and nothing else is going on, then I'll tune to it. But the Jacksonville just has a history of just being one of the most boring, most irrelevant teams in the NFL.
Even when they were good, bro. Even when they were good. I didn't want to watch Jacksonville. But unfortunately, they're not even good right now.
No. They got a porn star for a quarterback in Gardner Minshew.
He's got the porn stash.
He got the porn stash. But I'm going to pick Houston. And you remember, Houston just fired Bill O'Brien, which I knew it was coming at some point. They really should have did it in the offseason. Really, as soon as he traded DeAndre Hopkins, if I was an owner, I was like, first of all, I wouldn't have let that trade happen. Two, I would have fired him right then and there for even thinking about it.
Listen, it has to work. Like, if that's what you do, it has to work. Now, here's the problem that they had. They started out the season with the Chiefs. So, let's just say this was their first game of the season. They might not be 0-4.
Right.
They might be 1-3 as opposed to 0-4. Not that 1-3 is better, but maybe the dude still has his job. I'm not even advocating for Bill O'Brien. I don't know that dude is any good. I think he's one of those coaches that do a pretty solid job in the regular season. I just don't know that he's the guy that gets you over the hump. So I think it might actually be good for them to move forward without him. And, at certain points, everybody needs a little bit of change, some sort of shakeup. So I think this is one of those games where this might be what was needed for the Texans to kind of turn around. The problem I have is they're going to kill Deshaun Watson. His
in the process.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. However, I think that they're
going
to win this game.
Yeah.
However, I think they're going to win this game.
I agree.
But right now, I need you to pick opposite of me or think differently than me, you son of a bitch. Because right now we got the four of the same shit. So even if we hit on all four, we still gonna have the same damn record.
Yep, it's about to be the same because I'm picking the Browns against Indianapolis too.
So and I'm picking the Browns too.
So we just have to be on the same page. But these picks are kind of like no brainers though, except for the Browns.
Guess what?
Except for the Browns.
And listen, and I scoured. Not that there was that many games, but I did at least look up and down the schedule for the games that would have some level of relevancy. But there really wasn't much. It's still early too.
Yeah.
So, we'll balance it out as we move forward into the season. Hopefully the season continues, and hopefully people's health starts to matter to other folks, and then we can get more games and have playoffs and stuff like that. Because we're gonna just continue them all the way throughout. We're not gonna stop until I win the championship, because I figure I'm gonna probably win it anyway. So I'll keep giving you chances to figure it out. Please. But if you keep picking like me, it's gonna be easy.
Please stop it. Just stop. I know I'm gonna come out victorious at the end of the day because I'm smarter. So,
Oh yeah, really? This is where we're
that's
going.
that's where we're going. That's where we're going. All right,
I'm
so I'm looking
smarter.
for
Remember that shit, America.
whatever. I'm looking for the Browns in a close game. I think this one will be a little bit lower scoring. I don't think we're gonna put up 30 this week, so it'll probably be like a 20-17 type game.
I was thinking 20-16. So similar thoughts. I thought we're gonna need to score. We got to put up some digits because this defense is actually pretty solid. But and I was actually thinking 20-13, but I was like, no, they'll probably, our defense. I can't.
As long as we have Sendejo in the secondary, we're not gonna give up any less than 17 points a game. If 17 is being as bad as our defense is, saying Indy's only going to score 17 is kind of generous.
That's actually pretty good.
Right.
But I was thinking, because the only thing I was thinking is, and I think we said this before about a team we played. I don't know anybody on their offense, bro. We were talking about Washington. I don't know anybody on that offense.
No, I know Hines, the running back, Phillip Rivers, Paris Campbell is hurt, another Ohio State alum.
Yeah.
He's out. You know T.Y. Hilton. But he hasn't.
Okay, my bad. T.Y.
But T.Y. Hilton hasn't really been T.Y. Hilton in a while. He's not.
And it's hard to be when you don't have anything. I mean, T.Y. is not a big guy. It's not like he can impose his will in terms of his stature. He just has to outfast everybody, which is easy for him. But when you're the only guy, you can roll that whole defense that way.
Exactly. All right, man. So made our picks. I guess we can go ahead and wrap up the midweek edition of Two Guys and a Mic. Want to thank everyone for tuning in once again. We appreciate the support. You can go ahead, Ron, and let them know where they can listen to our podcast.
All right, guys. So again, just kind of echoing what my partner just said, I absolutely appreciate any and every ear that's out there listening for us. This is fun for us. We have a great time doing it, but we want to make sure that you guys have the best information and be entertained as well. So again, I thank you guys. You can reach us on our email if you want to get in touch with us personally at Two Guys and a Mic. That's the spelling to TWO guys and a mic 216@gmail.com. Email us. Let us know how you like the show. Let us know how you love the show. Let us know how you hate the show. We appreciate it one way or the other way. We do appreciate it because that means you're listening. Now, we could still be here without you guys listening, but the reason that we're putting it out here is because we want you guys to listen. Also, we are on Facebook as well. Two Guys and a Mic 216. Go to the page, like it. We will put links to our podcast so that you guys can listen to it. We also have other information on there as well that is pertinent to our podcast as well as to sports in general. We also have a YouTube page. So don't forget to subscribe to that. Again, Two Guys and a Mic. The spelling of the number 2, TWO, Guys and a Mic 216. So we have a number of venues that you guys, mediums that you guys can get to us at. I would love to see you guys there on any of those platforms. We're working on an IG page as well. So we just look forward to seeing you guys. We also look forward to hearing your feedback. We're going to be here on Sunday after the Browns game, as usual, whether your guys are here with us or whether it's just us. But we look forward to seeing, hearing, and talking to you guys as we move forward. I love you guys. Love you, Sean. Peace, man.
I love you too, bro. And you have a good night.
You too.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.